Okay, welcome. Thank you, travel agents, for being here today. I know you're just coming online now as we begin today's webinar. I am so excited to present today's guest to you. We have Bri Warner, who is the Canadian Media Relations and Marketing Specialist for Virginia Tourism Corporation. She has a fabulous presentation planned, and it's going to be amazing to learn more about this destination we know Canadians love. Before we get started, as always, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions that come up during the course of the webinar, feel free to pop those into the Q&A box at the bottom. If you have comments as well, put them in the Q&A box. The chat is disabled, but Q&A is open, so you can put anything in there. And then I will come back on at the end of the presentation and ask any questions to Bri on your behalf. So please feel free. This is your time to interact and get to ask any questions that you might have for Bri about Virginia. And in terms of housekeeping, that is all there is today. Remember, you will get a link to the recording of this as well after the show is finished, and you can find that on our YouTube channel as well. And so with all of that, I would just like to say that, as you know, Travel Week is dedicated to providing our readers with the very best travel information so they can craft amazing holidays for their clients. And with that in mind, and no further ado, I would like to introduce you to Bri Warner here from Virginia Tourism Corp. Hi, Bri. How are you today?
Hi, Candice. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thanks for coming on here. We can't wait to hear more from you, and I will see you at the end of the show. Take it away.
Sounds great. Thanks, Candice.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is indeed Bri Warner coming to you live from my home office in Central Virginia, just outside of Charlottesville, where I've been living since 2006. So I am your Virginia person. I'm here on the ground. I am your connection to anyone in the tourism industry here in Virginia that you may need to connect with, talk to, if you have groups, if you have guests, if you need ideas, if you need contact people. Please keep my contact information and feel free to reach out. As I said, I am here on the ground, and I have, the state is big. I won't lie to you. Virginia is huge. And I know, a lot of people think of certain destinations in Virginia, more specifically, maybe more like Virginia Beach or Northern Virginia outside of Washington, D.C. But there is really something for everyone in Virginia. And I know that's a cliche to say, but in our case, I think it holds pretty much true, simply because we have everything from the beaches to the mountains and the cities and the rural and the music and the wine. And I'll go over everything in greater detail. Je voulais aussi dire bonjour aux Canadiens français qui seraient peut-être à l'écoute. Alors, mon nom, Brigitte Bélanger-Warner. Je suis québécoise, canadienne-française qui vit en Virginie, donc je peux vous aider aussi en français. N'hésitez pas à m'écrire en français si ça peut vous aider. Donc, just to say, I am fluent in both languages. I'm French-Canadian, native from the Laurentians, and happy to help in English or French. So let's get into the meat of this topic, this webinar today. What I wanted to present to you is really an overview of our luxury product, because I don't think necessarily people think of Virginia as necessarily a luxury destination, but you will find that we have a lot of wonderful upscale offerings throughout the state. And so what I want to do today is take you a little bit through the different regions to show you some of the best places that we have to offer in terms of lodging, resorts, etc. And then, of course, an overview of other upscale experiences that are available to you and your guests in Virginia. And we will kind of start in Central Virginia, make our way east to the coast, and then finish up in the north, generally speaking, but we will cover most of the state. So what you see on your screen right now is the gorgeous Blue Ridge Parkway, of course, with the gorgeous mountains in the distance. So, of course, as I said, Virginia has everything from the ocean to amazing mountains on the west side of the state. And those are a wonder to behold. So how to get to Virginia. Obviously, direct flights from most places to either of our airports, international airports, Washington, Dulles, and Reagan airports, which, by the way, are both in Virginia, even though they're dubbed as DC's airports, but physically they are located on Virginia land. And so that's an easy way. Lots of direct flights from Pearson, Billy Bishop, Montreal, of course, and other places in Canada. And then you can also fly pretty much everywhere in the States through regional jets, regional flights, I should say. So if you're going to drive here, you can get to Virginia from Toronto within about 8 to 9 hours, and from Montreal about 10 to 11 hours, of course, depending where you go in the state. But it's a pretty easy drive. One of the easiest ways is to hop on I-81 if you cross the border at the Thousand Islands and just keep going south. You will arrive in Virginia, and that's a way that I prefer coming from Canada, really, versus taking I-95, where you have to cross a lot of the bigger cities, and that often means being stuck in traffic a little longer, whereas I-81 typically is a little bit more fluid. So that's a suggestion here. You see on the bigger map here all of our regions, and so Virginia, as you can see, is quite large. You know, you may see, okay, Northern Virginia with Washington, D.C. up here, and then the coast with Virginia Beach, our most popular beach destination. But then if you head west, you can take I-64. You end up in, you cross Williamsburg, which is a great area with some amazing places to see, amazing activities. Then the capital city of Richmond, and then you continue west and you go to, you get to Charlottesville, which is where I'm speaking to you from. But then there's also all of the Southwest here with the mountains and the music culture and so much more to discover. So at a glance, that's Virginia. And then you can see we are only minutes away from Washington, D.C., as I was saying before. So if you have guests who are planning a trip to D.C., you know, we are just across the Potomac River from DC. It's easy to get around with, there's water taxis even that one can take that brings you right in the heart of Old Town Alexandria, which is an absolutely charming little city, absolutely beautiful. So very easy to get here. By train also, of course, you can, travel by train from Canada, as you know, but then just to give you an idea of scale, you're about from Northern Virginia, about 3 hours away from Philadelphia, 4.5 hours to New York City. And then there's also lines that run east to west where you can eventually get to Virginia Beach or the Blue Ridge Mountains as well by train. Getting around super easy. There's new metro lines that have been recently inaugurated, the Silver Line being one of them that connect the Dulles Airport to downtown Washington. And then, of course, there's stops in Virginia that allow you to get around without necessarily needing a car if you want to stay in the Northern Virginia area. So that is great in this era where we really value green travel. And we've got really, really good public transportation systems in place. Then let's talk about the luxury experiences. So what you see here is the gorgeous, gorgeous Salamander Resort in Northern Virginia in the charming little town of Middleburg. And we'll talk about it in more details in a minute. But I just wanted to show you a little video that'll give you an overview of some of our favorite places around Virginia for luxury experiences. So that gives you just a little bit of an idea of what we have to offer. And the luxury properties that we're going to talk about today are listed below. And as you can see, they're pointed out on the map as well. So as I mentioned before, pretty big concentration in Central Virginia, the coast, and Northern Virginia as well, with a stop in Primland, which is our first stop today. Actually, it's number 15 on the map, but it's our first stop. So let me show you Primland. Primland is an amazing place. It's 12,000 acres located in the Virginia Highlands at the very top of a mountain. The drive alone is worth going. It was recently named one of the top resorts in the southern US, and it's got a very, very one-of-a-kind, unique way of doing hospitality, in the sense that it has multiple offerings. You can stay in the main lodge, which is pictured here, which is I've had the chance to stay there. It's one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful places I've ever stayed. The rooms are fantastic. And on site right here, you could look at this little tower here and you may think, oh, is this a silo? What is that? It's actually an observatory. And so guests can go at night to stargaze, which is a perfect location to stargaze, because as I said, you're at the very top of a mountain on the rural side of Virginia. So you have very, very clear skies, and you have interpreters there on site to give guests information about what it is they're seeing. And it's a pretty unique offering. They also have, obviously, golf, they have a spa, and then they have other activities that guests can partake in, including mountain biking, hiking, etc. And in addition to staying in the main lodge, you can see on this photo here, you can actually stay in tree houses, which are absolutely spectacular and beautiful, and a great way to escape the routine, for sure. So that's Primland. Keswick Hall. So we're moving in Central Virginia. Keswick Hall is actually a few miles down the road from where I am. It's a beautiful, beautiful property. It was recently completely renovated. It had been closed for almost 3 years to not only renovate the existing rooms, but they built a new pavilion right here with all the, I don't know if you can see my mouse when I point at things, but hopefully you can. So this new building here is completely new, built from scratch, and they've added a number of new rooms to their inventory. So it's a spectacular place to be. You feel like you're in Italy somewhere. I mean, you can see the style of architecture, but it's also got, the mix of that Italian architecture, and then of course the Southern hospitality that Virginia is famous for. So the hotel, the resort, if I can call it that, it's a small resort, has been in existence since 1912, but it's now, as I said, completely renovated, and Forbes has granted 5 stars to this amazing historical property. So it's fantastic. And then on site, you have a wonderful restaurant by Jean-Georges, and I cannot pronounce this last name to save my life, but Wangenrichten. Pardon I presume this is German. I'm not too fluent in that language, but Jean-Georges has an amazing restaurant, and it's Michelin starred. The chef is, of course, and so you can enjoy spectacular food and amazing golf as well. So there's a newly restored golf course, the Full Cry Golf Course is what it's called, and designed by Pete Dye. And then, of course, you have amazing spa treatments at the Keswick Hall Spa. So that's in Central Virginia. Still in Central Virginia, we've got Boar's Head Resort, which is also fully recently renovated. And so that's a wellness-focused resort. It is owned by the University of Virginia Foundation, so there's a tie to hospitality in that way as well. And then it has a full, beautiful golf course that has been also recently completely renovated, and it's designed by PGA Tour legend Davis Love III. And then on site, you can do so many activities. There's fitness classes, rock climbing, tennis. There's even hot air ballooning available as well to guests. And then obviously exceptional food and beverage as well. So that's Boar's Head Resort. Still in the Charlottesville area, we've got Albemarle Estate, and the particularity of this gorgeous, gorgeous estate is that it's located on site at Trump Winery outside of Charlottesville, which you can see the landscape. It's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. So you can just stay here, enjoy, you know, the delicious wines, of course, but it's also very, it's a smaller resort. So it feels almost more like a small inn than an actual large hotel, just because of, you know, how it's situated, where it's situated, gorgeous vistas. And then you have, in addition to Trump Winery, you have 6 other wineries that are located within a 16-kilometer radius around the estate. So it's pretty easy to get around and go explore these amazing wineries. There's even companies that will come pick you up at your hotel. They'll pack up a gourmet picnic for your guests, and they'll take them around 4 or 5 wineries during the day, however many they want to explore. And the guests can just be driven around, don't have to worry about driving and tasting wine, of course. So that's always a plus. And then very close to these locations that these Albemarle Estate and the other 2 I've mentioned, Keswick Hall and Boar's Head, you have world-class attractions such as Thomas Jefferson's home of Monticello, which is the house that you see on the back of the American nickel. That's Monticello, and James Monroe's Highland as well. And by the way, Monticello is one of the rare UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the US. There's really only a small handful. Charlottesville has 2, Monticello and the University of Virginia, which was also founded by Thomas Jefferson. So that's Albemarle Estate. Then also in Charlottesville, we have the Clifton. This place holds a spot near and dear to my heart because I used to be director of sales and marketing at that place before I started working for DMOs. But there I was at the Clifton Inn, and I can assure you it's a beautiful, beautiful place. So it's a historic, the main building and the few outer buildings that are near the inn were built in 1799, and they had a connection to Thomas Jefferson's daughter. So lots of history there. And then they have on site a beautiful, beautiful restaurant from Michelin-starred chef Mathieu Bosquet. He is amazing, and they have large gardens on site where they forage and harvest a lot of the food that they serve in the restaurant. So you can't get any fresher food than that. It's absolutely beautiful. And Clifton is set on 100 acres, so there's lots of outdoor activities options. Outdoor activity options. You can go hiking, there's a private lake, etc. And then it is also close to the wineries and other luxury experiences that we'll cover in a moment. But you can see Clifton, how beautiful and charming it is. Then just outside of Charlottesville, about 45 minutes to an hour northeast, is the 1804 Inn and Cottages, and that is also located on the site of a beautiful winery, Barboursville Vineyards, which is one of the top awarded wineries in the state of Virginia. And you get, as you can see, amazing views, super, super lovely place, very quaint, very quiet. And you have a range of accommodations with some cottages dating back to the 1800s. So very historic, as I said. And then there's a restaurant on site, Palladio, which is beautiful, absolutely delicious, very upscale cuisine. And then you are a few minutes away from the home of James Madison, called Montpelier or Montpellier. And that is, as you can tell by now, Virginia is the mother of presidents. We've had 8 presidents who were born here, and many of them have their home that have been transformed into museums. And you can learn so much about not only American politics, but also the way of life as it was in the late 1700s, early 1800s. So highly recommend Montpelier if you are in the area to visit as well. Then down the road from that gorgeous inn is another inn, the Inn at Willow Grove. As you can see, absolutely charming at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. You only have 25 rooms, so that's a great place for a more of a B&B type experience, but again, very upscale. The house is from the 18th century as well. So lots of history there. Again, close to wineries, but you also have on site a beautiful spa and a wonderful, wonderful restaurant where you can enjoy your meals. And that Inn at Willow Grove has been recognized by Travel and Leisure as one of the top resort hotels in the US South in 2021. So a must see as well. Then heading east a little bit, we're going to Virginia's capital city of Richmond at the Jefferson Hotel. Now, as you can see, this is a grand, grand property. That's the lobby you can see up here, and you can see the property from the outside, but it is a Forbes 5-star and AAA 5-diamond property. So very upscale, dating back to 1895. So that's a recurring theme with Virginia lodging when it comes to the upscale product, because there's so much history in Virginia. Of course, all of these hotels are phenomenal, and you walk in and it's like a trip through time when you walk through the door. So this one dates to 1895. And a very, very luxury experience, including the on-site restaurant called Le Maire. And it's a fabulous place to stay. They have an on-site salon, an indoor pool, and they are very well situated, close to some of the great museums and the Carytown neighborhood, which is absolutely adorable. You're going to want to tell your guests to go shopping and dine in Carytown. That's where locals love to relax and shop. So highly recommend it as well. Then from here, we're heading east still a little bit more to Williamsburg at the fabulous, beautiful Williamsburg Inn, which is another Forbes 5-star and AAA 5-diamond property. So we've got 62 guest rooms here, very well situated at the heart of Colonial Williamsburg. Colonial Williamsburg is the largest living museum in the world. And so that, for those who may not know about it, it's a place where you can literally have a trip through time, walking through a village and the way it was laid out and organized back in the 18th century. And, people are dressed in period attire. So you really feel like you've walked through a time bubble, and really can learn so much about life in those days. There's also some wonderful golf to be enjoyed in Williamsburg, and namely at the Golden Horseshoe Golf Club. And then you are close, when you stay there, to Williamsburg Winery, which is Virginia's largest producer of wine. And so that is also something to discover when you are in the area. And Williamsburg is part of a historic triangle. So you have Williamsburg, Yorktown, and Jamestown, and that's really where the beginning of the United States have occurred. The first settlers came to Jamestown, and there's a lot of historic attractions that you can visit to learn more about that. Very, very interesting and very rich history. Then we are going to the coast. I know everybody loves the ocean. So the Tides Inn is located in Irvington, and it's a waterfront resort, as you can tell by the pictures, in the Chesapeake Bay region, which is absolutely splendid. It was recently named #2 resort in the American side by Condé Nast Traveler, and by the readers, actually, so that's even better. And then you have, of course, fresh coastal cuisine, because there's so much. Virginia is the capital of oyster on the East Coast. I don't know if you knew that, and they are pictured right here, but you can definitely taste some very, very, very fresh seafood when you are in the Chesapeake Bay area and the Virginia Beach region. You have sailing excursions that are offered nearby, and of course you can enjoy also their newly revitalized spa experience and golfing on site as well at the Tides Inn in Irvington. From there, we go to a beautiful, beautiful property that has just reopened its doors a few years ago. It had sat empty for decades, and it's one of the places where, years and years ago, US presidents, celebrities would come and stay. It was just so elegant and so perfect. And then some wonderful folks had the vision to bring the Cavalier back. So yes, I'm talking about the beautiful historic Cavalier Hotel in Virginia Beach. And that's what you see, of course, pictured here. It's absolutely beautiful, completely restored. And it's one, up until recently, it was the only hotel in the United States with an on-site delivery. I'm not sure, distillery, pardon me. I don't know if that's still the case, but it was up until very recently. And so you can taste Tarnished Truth delicious products right on site. So that makes it convenient. And then they have an on-site beach club as well, right off the coast, of course, on the beach, obviously, because if you go to Virginia Beach, you want to enjoy the beach and the water. So they offer that to their guests. And then there are many, many wonderful experiences to be enjoyed nearby, including kayaking with dolphins. I've done that. It's fantastic. The dolphins come very close to the kayak. It is an absolutely beautiful experience. And then you can also have an oyster experience with Chris Lunford, who is a oyster farmer. You go with him on his boat and he sets up this table. You are knee deep in the water. He shows you how the oysters are cultivated, and then you enjoy them right then and there in the water. It's pretty phenomenal, trust me. Then let's go up back north on the road to the Inn at Little Washington. So you may be familiar with this property. It certainly has a beautiful, wonderful reputation. AAA 5 diamond luxury in a beautiful small town. And it's only 23 rooms, but it is very, very, very upscale. Lots of luxury amenities. And then there's an amazing restaurant on site by the legendary Patrick O'Connell, which is the first and only Michelin 3-star restaurant in the Washington, D.C. area. It was recently also awarded a Michelin Green Star in 2021. And it's the longest tenured Forbes 5-star and AAA 5 diamond restaurant in the world. So that's no small achievement. It is a absolutely gorgeous property. One of the most upscales of all the upscale products that I'm presenting to you today. Then we have the Goodstone Inn in Middleburg. So Middleburg is in the middle of horse country. It's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful little town. And then this particular property is situated on 265 acre in the middle of horse country, as I said. And then you have 18 rooms and 6 suites. So it's a gorgeous property, and you are minutes away from another large cluster of wineries in Virginia, in Loudoun County, which is also dubbed as DC's wine country, but it's really, again, in Virginia. And you have different experience you can partake in, such as private dining experiences on site in the wine cellar. And then the inn's restaurant is called the Conservatory, and it has been named one of the top restaurants in Northern Virginia. Beautiful property. The Salamanders. So we are back where we started. I showed you that amazing photo when we started. Salamander is absolutely beautiful as well. You can see the property, just how quaint, how lovely. It's 340 acres of property, luxury resort. It's gorgeous, dedicated to health and wellness. It has a 23,000 square foot spa. So they take their spa business very seriously up there. And then you also have the opportunity to partake in world-class equestrian experiences. That's one of the ways that one of the amenities of the resorts, really. And if you're interested, I can send you the link to their the equestrian experience offerings, which are absolutely phenomenal. And it always ends up on lists of top destination resorts in the US simply because of the quality of what they offer. And another plus is that it's located only a half hour away from the Dulles International Airport. So if your guests don't have much time, they just want to get away for maybe a 3-day weekend, that's a really great option, because they land, they can hop on a plane, land in Dulles, and then be at the resort within a half hour. And also they are, for those who like shopping, there's the Leesburg Premium Outlets, who are located very close by as well. The Morrison House. So now we go up a little further north still in Alexandria, which, as I mentioned before, is right across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C. And so the Morrison House is a former Federalist style home. It has 45 rooms, and it is very well situated within walking distance of all the fun attractions in Alexandria, with the cobblestone streets and the shopping and the restaurants. It's absolutely lovely. And then, of course, nearby you have all of Northern Virginia's cultural sites and George Washington's home of Mount Vernon, which is also close by and is a must-see for your guests going to Northern Virginia. So those were all the properties that I wanted to present to you today. Let's go over quickly some of the luxury experience that your guests can enjoy while they're in Virginia. So you may not know that Virginia is one of the top wine producing states in the US. We have over 300 wineries, and they are pretty much all located in absolutely gorgeous settings. They offer tasting rooms, and many of them also offer absolutely breathtaking locations for private events such as weddings. So if you have guests who are looking for maybe doing a getaway wedding, that is Virginia is one of the top choices, simply because the decor is absolutely phenomenal, and these folks at the wineries know how to put on events, trust me. So if you want more information about that, just get in touch with me and I can give you some contact information if that is something that you are interested in. As we mentioned before, award-winning culinary scene with some Michelin-starred chefs and restaurant owners. We talked about the fact that we are the oyster capital of the East Coast, and with 8 very unique regions that produce unique flavors as well. So if you are an oyster fan, I recommend booking your trip to Virginia soon. And also for oysters, it's not just like we used to think it's the fall months that are the best to enjoy oysters. Here in Virginia, it's really year round. There's no specific time of year where oysters are better or not as good. So it's really all year round. Then, of course, world-class wellness offerings to heal the mind, body, and soul. I mean, beyond even the spas that are located at the resorts I presented, there are several other independent spas and places where one can relax. So there's a place called Yogaville in Virginia, and that's just like it sounds. You can go there and have yoga retreats, either for people who are yoga instructors or even for anyone who is looking to reconnect with their body and have a wonderful wellness vacation. That's one other example of where they can go. 41 state parks, 22 national parks. So open spaces in Virginia abound, really for those who like nature, who want to hike, who like cycling. That is really a wonderful destination. And because our seasons are different than the ones in Canada, meaning our beautiful fall colors take place, I would say they peak in late October, early November. So, if you've got guests who are like, oh my, I'm sad that fall is already over in Canada, send them to us. We've got lovely colors even through mid to late November in our trees. And then in the spring, we start having flowers come out of the ground in late February. So our winters are short, they're mild, which makes us a wonderful destination for golfers, for instance. If you only have, again, a short amount of time and you're thinking, going to Florida or South Carolina is not really doable, think of Virginia. Winter is our low season. You can have amazing deals and still be able to play golf, year round at one of our 220 plus public courses across the state. We talked about sailing before, of course, in the gorgeous Chesapeake Bay. The golf and scenic drives are abound as well. You have the Skyline Drive, the Blue Ridge Parkway, which are roads that are situated in elevation with many lookouts where you can stop and take a little hike or take some pictures, bring a picnic, etc. We are designated by the Dark Skies Association for some of our parks, so that makes us an amazing destination for stargazing. The historic triangle, I mentioned that before, Williamsburg, Yorktown, Jamestown. So those who love history can learn so much. And some of these places offer museums and experiences that are really hands-on as well. So that's important to know. 400 years of history and cultural attractions that are known the world over. And then I mentioned that briefly in my introduction, but the Southwest area of Virginia is home to the birthplace of country music. So you may think, oh, country music must have originated in Tennessee. Well, actually, no, it was in Virginia. And there's a whole museum dedicated to telling that story, the Birthplace of Country Music Museum. And that's all I had for you today. Again, just want to reiterate how appreciative I am that you took the time for this presentation today. Want to again give you my contact information, bwarner@virginia.org. Feel free to write to me anything you need. I am your go-to person for Virginia, and proud and happy to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bri. That was a lovely presentation. Wow, so many beautiful, luxurious accommodation options, such amazing experiences in Virginia to be had. Wow. And great tips as well about the longer golf season, etc. So some really good information in there for our agents. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
We had a few questions here from some of our participants today. Let's see. So Dominique was just saying bonjour from Montreal, and she had a question actually that she wrote in French. My French isn't great, but I'm going to read it for you. And,
go for it.
Yeah. So she says, prévoyez-vous une présentation à Montréal ou Westland cet automne?
Oui, bien sûr. She's asking if I'm understanding correctly, if I can come do a presentation in Montreal in French. If that's the question, yes, I would love to. I come to Montreal every so often. As I said, we participate in a lot of the shows in Montreal. So the first quarter is always a good time because there's so many of them, and I'm kind of back and forth between Montreal and Virginia a lot. So please get in touch with me, and I'll be delighted to schedule something and come meet with you and your colleagues. Definitely. And thank you for asking. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for replying and for excusing my not so great French.
Oh, you did great.
Oh, good. Okay. Cheryl was asking about your email address, which you already provided. I can write that also here, Cheryl,
okay.
So you have it. So again, it's Bri. Oh, here.
It's bwarner@virginia.org.
bwarner@virginia.org. Okay, so it's there. You guys can see it. Debbie, yes, we will be sending a recording to everybody who participated in today's webinar, so don't worry about that. Cheryl Donovan is asking, if someone was going to stay in just one spot for 7 nights, where would you suggest they stay? They would then do day tours out from there to different places, like a tire spoke on a bike or something like that. So
yes, the hub and spoke. Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, that I would say there's many answers. Are you still there?
Yep, we're here.
Okay, sorry. For some reason, you disappeared from my screen. I don't know why that is.
Oh, strange.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I apologize. User error.
Okay.
So it really depends on what kind of activities you like to do. I would say definitely, Central Virginia is a great place simply because as the name says, it's central. So you are, let's say, out here in Charlottesville, and then you're 2 hours away from Northern Virginia. You're 2.5 hours away from the beach. You're less than an hour away from the mountains. So maybe Richmond or Charlottesville, if you want to explore a lot, that's a wonderful place. But also, if you like the beach, if you set shop in the beach area, then you are a couple hours away from again, from Central Virginia. So you can do the reverse. If you're really a beach lover, I would say, the thing is, it really depends on what you like to do. And then, of course, Northern Virginia, with all of its cultural attractions and museums and great food and the wineries. So that's also a great place to set shop. And if you do that, you're only 2 hours away from Charlottesville and Richmond. And so you can do a hub and spoke that way. So I don't think I answered much, your question, simply because there's so many possible answers. But if you have more specific questions and something specific in mind in terms of what you, or if you have guests who are interested, what they like to do, I'm happy to brainstorm with you and we can come up with a great plan.
Excellent. Thank you so much for answering that. And there was some great options there in that answer as well. And then, yes, definitely agents, feel free to reach out to Bri personally if you're planning a trip and you would like to know a great hub for a particular client based on what their unique likes are. Cheryl was also asking, how long does it take to drive from one end of Virginia to the other in kilometers or time?
Okay, so that is an excellent question as well. So if you remember, maybe I'll bring the map back up. Could you see my cursor when I?
Yeah, we could see it.
Okay, excellent. So I'm gonna share my screen again and show you on the map.
Great.
Let's see. So I apologize. Do this again.
No problem.
Technology sometimes.
I know, right?
Okay, well, it doesn't want. Doesn't
not
do it, but okay, here we go.
Oh.
Okay, can you see my screen now or no?
Not quite yet.
Not yet. Okay. I'm going to share it this way.
Okay. Yep. Now we can see it.
All right. So I'm not going to bring it full screen because I'm afraid it's going to disappear again, but you can see if you this is I-81 here. This is where you would first come into Virginia if you, again, cross at the Thousand Islands Customs and come down all the way 81. So from here all the way to this southwest corner, it's a good 6-7 hour drive. So that's to get from up here to here. However, if you want to get from Charlottesville, which was where I'm at right here, to the beach, it's less than 3 hours. So you're looking at 2.5 to 3/4 an hour, roughly. From Charlottesville to Richmond, it's only 1 hour. So that's easy to do. From Northern Virginia, so Washington, D.C. being here, and all the Northern Virginia cities, Alexandria, Arlington, from up here to Charlottesville is about 2.5 hours. Same if you go from here to Richmond. And then from Northern Virginia to the beach, it's about 4 hours. Roughly. So those are gives you some idea of distance, and it's a big state, and all of this portion here is lots of mountains, lots of wilderness, great place to go hiking and be in the great outdoors, camping, etc. So that whole area, and that's where you also find the birthplace of country music and that whole music culture, music trail, etc.
Excellent.
Does that help?
Yes, I think that's helpful. And thank you very much for, showing us the map and helping to map it out, especially because, as we know, so many Canadians are traveling to Virginia by car. I think it's great for them to have an idea of that as well. So thank you.
Of course.
And then we just had some comments from Valerie and Dominique and Bonnie, and they were all saying, thank you for the wonderful information. This was a great presentation. And for those of you, there were a few more people asking for your contact information, Bri. So if it's okay with you, I'll also add your email to the follow-up email I send to all our participants so they have it.
Okay, yes, please do. And my phone number as well.
Excellent.
And again, happy to help in French or English, whatever you need.
Excellent. So thank you there. And travel agents, as you know, then you can get in touch with Bri and she can help you with anything else that you need. I just want to close out today's presentation by saying a very big thanks first to Bri Warner. Thank you so much for being here and for presenting this amazing information on Virginia to us today. We really learned a lot. And again, I want to say thanks to all our Travel Week readers and our agent participants today. It was a pleasure to have you all on here and to be able to interact. So thank you again for joining us. Stay tuned for the follow-up information, and we'll see you at our next webinar.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Au revoir.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
Bye.